3, 2, 1. Let's go! I'm the host of the PBE podcast, Troy Tittlemeyer, sitting down at Image 2023, riding that razor's edge of technology and applied geoscience.
I am Peter Duncan. I'm the CEO and founder of Microseismic Inc. I am a geophysicist dyed in the wool. I have been a geophysicist my entire life. I actually in the summer of 1970, went to Newfoundland. I'm a Canadian, and I worked on a diamond drilling project looking for copper, and I got introduced to geophysics that summer. And I loved it because what it was about was boys and their toys. It was doing treasure hunting in the earth with neat tools. And I went back to my university. I had completed 1 year, and I went back second year. I went to the head of the geology department, and I said, I want to be a geophysicist. And I have stayed that course ever since. And in my career, I worked in underground in the mines. I worked for a mining company doing exploration.
Really?
And then I got into oil and gas because the mining company, like oil and gas, goes through all sorts of ups and downs. And I was working for Shell in their mining division, and they decided to sell their mining division. They retooled me as a geophysicist in the seismic division. This very famous seismologist named Charles Archambault, a MacArthur Genius Grant Fellow, a professor in Colorado, who had worked in the seismic world. I'm talking about earthquake seismic.
Okay.
And he'd worked in the detection of nuclear blasts. He'd been in a non-aligned group that worked in Russia and the U.S.
Tell the difference.
To be able to tell the difference between nuclear test blasts and real earthquakes. And Charles was getting older, and he said, Peter, I would like to try to monetize some of the technology that I've developed in the passive seismic world, and I would like to see about re-engineering that down to a scale that could be applicable in the oil field instead of looking for nuclear blasts.
Whoa.
And see if we could make some money at it.
Wow.
And when we went in that office, just inside the door, there was a partition with desk behind it, and on that partition, we hung a big piece of craft paper, and we asked people to put the core values of the company for them, to just write it on, whatever was in their head. Not me. I didn't contribute to that page. They did. And what did they write? I still have the piece of paper.
Oh, man.
And they wrote things like, everyone's a stockholder. So that was a core principle. Every employee got stock options, so it was their company. So that they could come to me if I made a decision and say, Peter, don't you mess with my company. Integrity. And this has been a core principle in our company. We don't lie to our clients. If we do something wrong, we tell them. If we do something wrong or something bad happens, first thing that happens, don't care. In the field, in the analysis, the person calls me. I have never, ever fired anyone for making a mistake. But for hiding it, yes.
Oh, man.
So integrity. The third principle that was up there, there were 30. But the third principle that sticks in my mind was never give up.
Oh, man.
And, we got into the frac monitoring and we didn't even know how to spell that. And I told my people it's going to be a long time. I said, I think we'll probably have to do 100 wells and monitor that frac before we understand what our data are telling us.
Wow.
And you know what? It was 100 wells and maybe more. And we went to clients and we told them things about the data that were dead wrong because we didn't understand. And we told the clients things that we saw that they said were dead wrong because they didn't understand yet.
Whoa.
And together, us and our clients, we learned about the technology of what was going on in the subsurface, and the whole market moved, and we were part of that, and it was so exciting. And we shared that with all the employees. No, it wasn't me. It was those employees that worked for me who taught me and who dragged me along with them.
Man, it's fascinating to know that these cluster of events are happening along a plane of some kind of weakness point, right? It's a fracture, it's natural porosity, permeability breaking down. Something's going on there, and it's real, and you get to put that into interpretation, and and that goes to the next one, and you're optimizing it with this data. And microseismic data is really valuable when interpreted correctly, when taken very seriously. I got to sit down with Charles Cusack talking about the Eagleford with recoil. and how he's doing real-time microseismic work with you guys.
Where's the next one? Probably machine learning and bringing it to the front on data really fast. Another one that I think, and we're working on now, but it's a little further out, is to couple electromagnetics with sound. I did my PhD in electromagnetics.
Oh, really?
And it is an opportunity to measure a different physical parameter that responds to the Earth in a different way. And if we can couple that multi-physics kind of observation, we can probably get more powerful, more accurate images.
Wow.
But electromagnetics has always been on the fringe of what we do because it doesn't have, or didn't have, quite the resolution of seismic, just because of a physical nature of sound waves versus electromagnetic waves. But I think we're getting to the point where with machine learning, we can couple those and make better use of them.
So if you have a carbonate rock and its resonant frequency is what it is, if you change its resonant frequency, does that change its EM?
One is mechanical and one is electrical. One has to do with the mechanical properties of the rock, its elasticity, its response to stress, and the other has to do with its response to a voltage and a current traveling through it. Now, there is a thing called piezoelectric effect, that when you put a voltage on something, it may respond mechanically and create a seismic wave. So there are people who talk about putting an electric impulse into the ground, and it creates a seismic wave when it interacts with a rock. And then you measure the seismic, or you measure the electromagnetics when it comes back up into the surface. And so, in a very real and subtle sense, the question you asked has some truth to it.
Sound is an amazing, amazing science, for sure. I feel like we are just starting to really break into that. I mean, there's even reports now where they're putting microphones on rocks in like the Utah, like the arches and stuff, and they're saying that these rocks are humming. You know, we don't hear it, but there is a sound and almost a music to the rocks.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The acoustic properties of rocks are phenomenal, and the stretching the science to really understand all of the things that can go on is something we don't do every day because we don't need to. But for example, when we first started doing microseismic, we were listening for the little snap, crackle, pop that would happen, and this is before we were doing fracking, when the sun goes over or when the moon goes over. Because any one of those earth tide effects will cause the small fractures in the subsurface to move. And if you can pick up those small events, you can start to map where the fractures are in the subsurface, and then maybe start to predict where fluids are flowing. All just from the sun and the moon going over.
And from
or a train passing by. You know, in the Russians actually noticed that when a train went by one of their oil fields, production would go up.
Come on.
So they took trains and flattened the wheels and drove the trains around their field going thump, to thump, to thump, to thump, and it increased production. And one of the very early, I mean, they actually were doing this. One of the American labs, I don't know whether it was Lawrence Berkeley or whatever, they actually developed a tool that you could put down hole that would put out a vibration that would cause the fractures to vibrate and cause more oil to flow.
Wow.
Down in South America, Shell actually experimented in Colombia with that when there were natural earthquakes and those earthquake waves would go through their fields, they would experience a pulse of gas coming up their wells. Now, they're not going to cause earthquakes to improve their production, but they wanted to understand why that was.
What was going on, yeah.
So those mechanical things that are going on the earth that are due to natural forces, that's what passive seismic is all about. And have we unlocked all the opportunities?
No
Absolutely
way.
not.
Yeah.
Because we get dragged into doing commercial things, so that we can feed our family and pay the mortgage. But if you sit and start talking like this, you can get really excited about the neat things you can do.
Yeah. Dr. Peter Duncan, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Troy. I appreciate it.
Likewise.